spotlighting Nigerian journalist, producer, director, and art promoter Oyiza Adaba, a veteran storyteller with over 2 decades of experience capturing Africa's rich cultural tapestry. Now, through her platform, Africa Related, she continues to amplify African narratives with authenticity and depth. Now, her latest work, Dela, The Making of El-Anatsui, is a decade-in-the-making biographical documentary that offers an intimate look into the life and artistry of one of Africa's most globally acclaimed sculptors. With over 90% of original footage and a diverse team of underrepresented filmmakers, the film is both a visual odyssey and a cultural triumph, one that redefines sculpture and reaffirms Africa's place at the forefront of global contemporary art. Thank you so much for being here, Oiza. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. I appreciate your time. I think I want to just go straight into it and ask, there's so many artists that you could have picked. Why this particular one?
Thank you very much for having me. Life and just brought us together. I met El-Anatsui first in 2005 as a journalist coming in from New York and covering him. And from there, a relationship formed and a friendship, and just getting to know this individual behind this masterful works of arts all over the world. And in 2013, we approached him with this idea of following her around for 18 months. And that was the initial timeline that we set for this production. And it turned out to be 10 years of being with him, learning from him, and just sponging all that he has to offer. And it could have been anybody else, but it definitely was meant to be him. And that experience is something that we don't take for granted, and I don't think I'll trade it for anybody else. Those 10 years of filming were such that we learned a lot. We learned a great deal from this man, who's known globally, but it's still one of the most humble human beings that you can ever meet. Not just his art, but his personality. El lived in Nigeria, in a place called Nsukka in southeast Nigeria for 45 years. And that alone is an inspiration. Coming from Ghana, coming from the Ewe tribe in Ghana, which is also closely knit to Nigeria. There are so many layers to him that, beginning to uncover them definitely wasn't going to be a feat that could have been achieved in 2 years. So I was more than happy that it took that long to produce it, because it also gave us an opportunity to really get to know this man and understand him, and not just that, to be able to translate it into film and bring it to a global audience. So it was such an honor for us to work with Professor Anatsui on this.
Okay, all right. Wonderful for you guys to actually spend that long of a time with him. Now, during the making of the documentary, what was, the discovery that shocked you the most? And what was it like making this documentary? And you said since 2013, that's a long time, you understand? So tell us what the experience was like and what shocked you the most when you were actually shooting this documentary.
I think for every documentary filmmaker that is out there, patience is really one of the traits that we must have, must work with. If you're in a rush, you may tell a half-told story. If you rush the process, you may miss out on something. But that's not to say that every work and every piece should take that length of time to create. But back to your question about what surprised me the most is really his level of patience. I recall during production, there were times that we're like, we're not ready. And he would be like, take your time. Let the story tell itself. And like I said earlier, I thought it was a process that would be able to get through in 18 to 24 months. But his level of patience is something that definitely threw me off. Also, the way the rock star personality or the rock star reception that he gets around the world, it's something that we didn't really experience in Nigeria or even in Ghana, where he's from originally. But globally, the way he's revered, so to say, in different places that we traveled and where his artworks are exhibited, the reception, the accolades and the awards, the things that are said about him. And it got us wondering if really Nigeria or even Ghana that really understands or what, the level of global impact that this man has made. So that is one element that surprised me the most. But I must say that in the period that we were filming till now, a lot has changed, and El is becoming even better known now as a result of the film. We've shown in various film festivals around the world, and also here in Nigeria and also in Ghana. It gave us the chance to sort of reintroduce this person to the community, two communities that he's closely knit to, and that is Nigeria and also in Ghana. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay, just a quick follow-up. Now, you mentioned that, the level of, attention you got when you guys were abroad compared to that attention like in Nigeria and Ghana. Is it a case of we not probably appreciating art enough? How foreigners appreciate crafts like art in general, or not knowing people like El-Anatsui, being one of the biggest or the best brains in art, in Africa? Is it a case of not appreciating the the art, or not knowing the personalities behind art?
It's a little bit of both. Nigeria is very, very culturally forward. We're very rich in culture, and Ghana as well, because it's closely knit. And we do appreciate art in these parts, but to that commercial level where your works are selling for millions of dollars. I don't know how many Nigerian artists that have experienced that. But again, when you look at the personality of the individual that our subject, he didn't set out to be known. I think his art was above all of that. He wasn't a fame chaser. And all of that came later, and he embraced it and appreciated it. But it came secondary. And again, us being the ones to even introduce him to Ghanaians who were like, what? We didn't even know we had this in our midst. It's something that is very, very telling. It's a little bit of both in your question, but at the same time, I think a lot has changed. If you look at the period in which he started working in he started teaching in 75 in Nigeria and stayed on and moved back to Ghana in 2020. He spent 45 years here, and not very many people, especially if you're not within the art scene, would have heard of him. But that is why we embarked on this journey as well. It was a story worth telling, and we wanted to be the ones to tell it, and we're deeply grateful that he gave us the opportunity to share him with the world.
All right, then, thank you so much for that. And as we start to, wrap up, I want to ask, your work centers mostly on amplifying African perspectives, and you've done so in the medium of documentaries. So how do you see the role of documentary filmmaking and platforms like yours, Africa Related, in reshaping these global narratives about the continent? And just an add-on on that, in telling El-Anatsui's story, what broader truths about art, history, or identity do you hope audiences walk away with?
Thank you for that. I hope audiences would walk away with the fact that we're so blessed on this continent, and the fact that he spent most of his years on the continent shaping and curating his art is something that speaks volumes. We don't all need to be abroad. We don't all need to be on crossing the Sahara and crossing the high seas. And these even subject matters that he deals with in his art, the issue of slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade, alcohol, name it. All of these are seen in his works. But again, something that the audience can go away with is the fact that it can be done here. And Africa as a continent, we're so rich, we're so blessed. It's difficult, no doubt, it's challenging, no doubt about it. But if we're able to enhance and get into that place where our calling lies, he did not try to be anybody else. He went about doing his thing, and years, decades down the line, you know, he had reshaped the very concept and definition of the word sculpture. So it's something that is deliberate, and it takes a lot of patience, but it takes a lot of sticking with what you know and where your calling is. We don't all have to do the same thing. And for us at Africa Related, how we help tell these stories, for me primarily as a journalist, because that's how I started off as a journalist, transiting into filmmaking. And it's been such a rewarding journey, because as a journalist, you try to get every perspective, and you try to tell an all-round story, and all of that translates into our work as filmmakers, trying to deliver an authentic story. And also the fact that I practiced and lived in the US for many years also helped shape my approach. You get a lot of questions and a lot of misconceptions about who we are as Africans. And rather than get upset or get angry at some of the questions that we get asked, we just take time to explain that, oh, it's like this, and you know, we're all Africa related. Okay. So that's how it all came to being.
Okay, all right. I mean, we have come to the end of the interview, but before we go, how do people watch the documentary? Like, real quickly, in 30 seconds, how do people watch the documentary?
Well, you can follow us at El-Anatsui Film, and it's not out yet for distribution, but it's still making the film festival rounds, and it's also having select screenings all over in Nigeria and in Ghana at art and educational institutions. But follow us at el-anatsuifilm.com and get more information when it's out.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Oiza Adaba, for your time today. All right.
All right. Well, if you're wondering, of course, what we've been talking about, let's take a quick look at that documentary trailer.